Yeah, and perfect. So we are recording. So, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Her Stories Untold, Live Talks with Traei. Today, I have Mahshid here, and thank you for joining us today for a quick talk about the current, very important situation with Mahsa Amini. Mahshid, if you can tell us a little bit about what is happening, and I know everyone's been reading the news and it's all over the place, but I think it's important to have a bit of context and foundation in that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much. So to give you a very short and brief uh, news of what happened and why we are in this situation in Iran right now. On September 16th, Mahsa Amini, 22-year-old woman, got arrested for so-called improper hijab at street, and was taken to one of the stations and was kind of beaten, and there was violation happening against her and caused her to get into coma. And shortly after, she passed away, or she died. So following to that, other women, like very brave women like Hannah Kia, come out of the street and they call for their freedom. They cut their hair, they burn their scarves, and they basically call for what is their basic rights. And so fast, women become kind of leader of this protest, and we are super happy to hear. Not that we are happy for the situation for sure. We really hope that, or we wish that would never be a case. But right now we have our men kind of fighting for women's rights, shoulder to shoulder, and so that's why we came to such a big solidarity, because now from like calling for freedom for hijab, now it's coming to a bigger concept. They call for human rights, basically freedom, that has not been existing in Iran, and people were always like being under the pressure from economy to getting arrested for very basic things, and like our genius people getting like arrested for their for their ideas, or journalists, like you just call it, like artists. So this time in this protest, people are not going to stop. Like they decided to stand for all of their rights here. And so the good news is that for the first time in history of Iran, while women are leading this protest, global actions happening right now. People outside Iran, like Iranian outside Iran, non-Iranian outside Iran, artists, celebrities, different communities, they're starting to support and hearing basically Iranian inside, which it gives us hope, but which is not always enough. Hope it's not enough. We always want action, and that's what's happening today.
It's become a huge global movement, supporting not just for women, but basically men and women coming together, to create positive changes, making the stories and voices to be heard, rather than kind of just unheard or isolated incidents as they have in the past. And it's not to say that they weren't important enough in the past, but it's just that it's it just kind of died out, or the person may have been silenced, and kind of thing. I kind of wanted to backtrack again a little bit, just for Mahsa Amini. I think for her story to come out, it was really to do with the journalist that had the opportunity to see her in that situation, so that he was able to show those images or footages out to the media, so that the whole entire world can become aware of what is happening behind the scene. And I think this links in together the importance of social media, whether it's celebrities, TV footage of news, people sharing information. That's very significant because, as much as we hear different news, sometimes, misinformation on social media, I think it is important that we also focus on harnessing social media as a positive platform to communicate, to advocate, and to bring and help support each other in the best ways that we can together as human beings, not just women, not just men, whatever gender. I think it's time that we come together. Yeah. So I think that's so important. Please continue as you were mentioning.
I just going back to what you were saying about the journalists, just letting you know that those two journalists, right now they're arrested. Both of them were young women, journalists, and they're arrested, disappeared. Basically, there's no news from them. And so both like Niloufar Hamidi, Hamidi, or Yalda Mayeri. We are so concerned because we don't know their situation, and that's not only the two women here. There are like so many women or men, young men, that they get disappeared. They get arrested. They taken to stations or police stations, and we don't have any news from them anymore. So that's very concerning because from one side we hear people are dying more and more, and on the other side we hear all the news, evident news of people who were disappeared. And some of the families, they cannot even speak up because they are threatened. So it's a very concerning situation. And so that's why we are asking for global action, because the more we put pressure on government, the more they understand they have to take a step back. We are not forgiving like their violation act. We are not forgiving this, and so we are not staying silent. So here would love to really also mention that I know it's a situation that happens in Iran right now, but we are not calling for Iranian rights only right now. It's human rights. We are talking about women's right, which is human rights. So it's not only we Iranian that we have to step up for this, but also non-Iranian, like every community, like everyone, every voice matters, like every single voice matters.
I think that's so important to make that point, because that's so true. Oftentimes we hear the news and the media or somebody speaking, and if it's not somebody immediately from our circle of culture of or skin color, we hear it and you kind of just move on, right? Like a fart in history, right? Which this absolutely is not the case right now. Okay, and that shouldn't be for any of those human rights issue. And I think just because you're not Iranian or part of the Middle Eastern country, I think you can show your support. And as I always said, that's the same for when they were advocating this separate matter very quickly, like Black Lives Matter, Asian Lives Matter, that type of thing. Like equally, anybody can be supportive of that, as long as we're promoting and supporting positive social change for the whole entire world. Because what that means is that we're going to coexist in better harmony, right? And I think the world doesn't exist without each and every one of us, right? And I think that's so important. And the fact that you mentioned also that each story needs to be told and needs to be heard.
I was just like remembering one story of myself, but like I just want to tell you that Mahsa could be you, could be me, could be any of us in any point in history.
Yeah.
So if you take action right now, that's what that's the only thing that you can do, to save yourself, future, the current situation is not only for now, it's not gonna stay as like a historical event.
Exactly.
It could be a foundation to something happening tomorrow, you know?
Yeah.
So I just want to quickly tell that, like, I was like crying by myself because I was so anxious, like hearing this news. And I remember that one of the days that when I was in Iran, I was like, got arrested for my hijab. And if that slap that I got was causing me to die, you know, what my family would do, like how they would feel. I mean, like that, what they did to Mahsa, they have been doing to all of us in Iran. The bravery of like these women in Iran right now matters, because never we've been covered by media outside. They never know what's happening in there. They don't know how many women every day are arrested in regular basis, basic, like, you know, regular days. So if today people are outside because they got into max, they cannot tolerate this anymore. But right now, if you people outside Iran can hear us, you are the one that can take action to help us, you know, getting out of this situation with better result for our better future. So yeah.
No, that's
silent is violation. Like, this is true. This is very true. Silent violation. It's true because if I am in Canada today and I forget my past and what happened, how the world can be a better place, right?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I want to thank you very much for sharing that, you know, very intimate and personal story of what happened to you with your hijab and situation. And I think you raised very important points about how she could equally be any of us. And I think the key point and foundation behind that is empathy. As human beings, we need to have empathy to be able to identify and relate to other people, not just people like us or in similar groups, you know. And I think we need to find ways to create a sense of belonging for everybody, you know, and it's not just a particular type of group. And I think as much as what happened to Mahsa Amini is a very, very sad situation in history, I also think this is that time, you know, because of the situation, to be raising those voices, and so that everybody can come together. And the very sad thing about you know, the world sometimes is that if it's not loud enough, it just goes, like, nobody remembers. It doesn't apply to our lives. We go day in and day out and, you know, are living, and, you know, you still live your life. It doesn't matter. But I think if you have free time, you have resources, you know, whether it doesn't have to be monetary, you know, it could be just something, you know, that you do to take action. And I think that leads us to the point where an important section of our talk today is to see how we can help. How can we support this cause? You know, I know people are thinking, oh, you know, join this and that kind of thing, but let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a few things that we can do individually, even if you're not so-called celebrities or important people. But we are important. We are
Yeah.
very important. So one thing we can do is to contact our like Ministry of like Foreign Affairs and urge them to create an international investigation mechanism, basically, and we can just speak out on human rights violation inside Iran, because they don't have a voice right now, and there's no domestic there's no domestic accountability right now. So we are their voice, basically, so we can speak up on their behalf. Create demonstration, create like strikes, like go out strike, create some peaceful, basically protests with your friends. Join any protest that's happening currently or in future. Donate to valid and official organizations like Amnesty Iran. They are we are so appreciative for what they're doing, for the actions that they're taking, and Iran Rights. So these two are currently helping us so much with their support. The other thing that we could do is to basically call officials outside Iran. You know, let's call them out. Let's call them out and ask them to stand with us, stand by us, like, you know, I was super happy. Like Rogers tell us, like FIDO, what they took in action. Like they temporarily waived the long distance, like calling and, you know, messaging. So this is a big help, because if the internet doesn't work, at least we can like get the updated news that way. So this is a huge help. So let's just call our communities. If you're indigenous people, please come. We share the same thing. You're Black, you women of color, you're you know, your community, whoever you are, we share the same thing. BIPOCs, yeah. So please come join us and help us to be a louder voice, and don't let this to stay quiet. And share social media, share this in social media. I know like some of the things that comes in that they are in Persian, but that video, that picture is a document of like a person who's getting beaten, a person who's getting arrested, a person who's, you know, being in that protest. And that's an important evidence, you know, evidence and document.
That's really,
So these are things that we can just, you know, take an action and do.
And I think any form or way is, you know, as long as, you know, we're supporting positively, peacefully, I think there is something that each of us can do. I also want to quickly share, you know, while this is not specifically Iranian focus, but I think it opens up to the Middle East. Some of the nonprofit organizations that I have come across globally, it seems to, I kind of just want to share very quickly a couple of them with you, more than a couple. There is the Center of Arab Women for Training and Research. It was founded in 1993. This organization supports women's empowerment in the Middle East through education and operates in multiple countries. So because of that, I think that's something that, you know, people can reach out to help seek support and that type of thing. So that's one of them. And don't worry if you're missing this, because I'm going to be sharing the link to the resources after our talk today. The second one is Arab Women Organization in Jordan. And, you know, it's about dedicated to support gender equality and ending violence against women. It's founded in 1970. There's also a Daughters for Life Foundation. This was created in 2009 after the tragic death of this doctor's 3 young daughters, and his mission was to promote peace and political stability through women's empowerment in the Middle East. So they give grants to scholarships to Arab women in various countries throughout the Middle East, right? So that they can access higher education and pursue dreams. And they also host like annual galas in Toronto to honor the scholars' success, and so that they can be connected with local leaders in business and media. There's another one for Organization of Women's Freedom in Iraq, you know, to support women's rights and fighting violence against women and advocating for victims, you know, social honor crimes, widow men and women in prison. There's another one called Women for Women International. It's funded in 1993, and this global organization provides support to women in 8 countries in the Middle East. So it's not just for one area, that type of thing. And I think it's so important Yeah, and there's also the Center of Egyptian Women for Legal Assistance. And I think that sometimes, actually, a lot of times it is a barrier for women without resources for legal assistance and whatnot kind of thing. So the other, I think there are more to come, but I will be sharing a full list later on. So I think I want to invite that, if ever anyone has any Iranian resources or organizations that they want to share, please do not hesitate to reach out to me, because I can help you reshare that information as well. And I want to mention here that Her Stories Untold is a global book project with the sole purpose of, sharing women's journey of empowering, inspiring other women from all walks of life around the globe. So if there is anybody that you know, or if you would like to share your story, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. You can share your stories confidently, anonymously, or if you want to share your whole story, both are accepted. There are no barriers to that. And I think the purpose, once again, is that other women can hear those stories and they can feel empowered and inspired so that they can take the next step to be able to reach or walk towards where they need to be. In this case, our first step is to have this conversation, build awareness, sharing information and resources, and telling each other how we can support each other. And this is not the end of it, because it remains flexible and open to everybody, coming to share that information. So Mahshid, I wanted to ask you, is there an upcoming event or that, people can join or, look into to help support?
So we organized a human chain this Saturday,
Yeah.
followed by last basically Sunday, what the big gathering that we had, protest and rally that we had. This Saturday we organized a human chain. It starts at 2 to 4 p.m. And the location starts from art gallery sidewalks all the way to Stanley Park, but we're expecting even like that to get bigger, because we have been getting a lot of responses from different communities that they want to join us, from academic, resources. We got a lot of like communities coming, indigenous people, and so many other people want to join to be part of this. So please, if you have time to join us, don't hesitate. Come to this human chain, 2 to 4 p.m. I'm waiting. I'm like, me and all of my friends are waiting for you to hold on your hands and support the women in Iran.
So that's amazing. And just to recap, that's October 1st, this Saturday, between 2 to 4 p.m. And the location is starting at the Vancouver Art Gallery in downtown Vancouver, BC. And it's going to probably span all the way to Stanley Park. And we have so many different groups and people, public institutions, groups from there as well, that is supporting this very positive human chain, right? You said human chain, right? I love that. Yeah, that's so important. And you don't have to be a certain group. Anybody can join this cause. So they kind of just show up.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't have to
come. If you even want to, to speak up, come to us, and we can give the platform to you. You can just talk and support us.
And if you can't be there physically, that's fine too. You can just share this information, which I will be sharing after our talk today, so that you can just click share and just create awareness, and by keeping abreast with the news information as it unfolds, because I'm sure while we're speaking live here together, things are still evolving and changing back in Iran, right? So we just got to stay up to date with everything. So yeah, so thank you very much for joining Live Talks with Traei today. And I sincerely hope peace and the most positive changes to come for everyone. Yeah, I think that's so important.
So much,
thank you for all that you're doing. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so take care, and we'll be posting the resources and the links to the event too as well. So thank you everybody for taking the time to join us today. Take care. Thank you. Bye for now. Bye-bye.